The night of February 23rd, 2020, Sarah Boone and her boyfriend, Jorge Torres Jr., were at their home in Orange County, Florida. At first, it looked like an ordinary night between two people spending time together, but as the evening went on, everything began to change. By then, they had drifted into a playful, drunken mood, the kind where bad ideas start to feel funny. Sarah claimed that Jorge climbed into the blue suitcase willingly. He was small enough to fit inside, just 5 feet 3 inches tall, weighing about 103 pounds. They laughed about it. To them, in that moment, it seemed like part of the game. Then she zipped the suitcase closed, and somewhere between one thing and the next, Sarah went upstairs and fell asleep. The next morning, she came back downstairs and noticed that Jorge was still inside the suitcase. He was unresponsive. She called her ex-husband, Brian Boone, and he told her to call 911, but her first reaction was to hesitate. Keep that in mind. That hesitation will matter more than she knows. At 1:01 in the afternoon on February 24th, Sarah Boone finally called 911, which you just heard. Responding deputies arrived at the apartment and started asking questions.
What's going on? I just got here, so fill me in.
No problem. Like, he and I were putting a puzzle together. We've been doing some artwork together.
You are putting a puzzle together?
Yes, we have a puzzle that we started in there.
Okay.
We've been doing art, trying to take the stuff off the wall to make new art put up there, like having a good time with one another. But we're drinking. We had a bottle of wine last night.
Okay. Fine.
So then it's like, we decided to play hide and seek, right?
Okay.
So he gets in the suitcase. Okay.
Who is this guy?
That's my ex-husband, my former husband.
He lives here with you guys?
No, I called him over here.
Okay, okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
I didn't know what to do.
Okay.
So then he came over here.
Here, let's talk in private, okay?
I called you guys.
Mm-hmm.
I tried giving you CPR. The problem is I fell asleep. I fell asleep.
When did you do CPR?
This morning, when I found it.
Before you called?
Yes!
It's 1 o'clock right now.
I tried, I was awake, but I actually got out of the bed at like 12:30ish, whatever. So I came downstairs, and I was like, oh, he's in the suitcase still. And that's when I found him, and I took him out, and I tried doing CPR, and then I called him, and then I called you guys.
Okay.
I had a bottle of wine, and then decided to play hide and seek.
Mm-hmm.
So he
What time was that, do you remember?
I mean, I know that I was in bed probably by like, what, 12:30?
Okay.
Well, I went upstairs at least, and I fell asleep, forgetting that he was in the suitcase.
So you guys were playing the hide and go seek?
Yes.
And at some point you put him in the suitcase?
No, he got in the suitcase. So he thought it would be funny to be put in the suitcase. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to joke with you and I'll zip you up and make him, squirm a little bit, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. But then I fell asleep. Mm-hmm. I fell asleep.
Where was the suitcase?
Right where it is.
Right down there?
Yes.
You zipped him in there?
Yes.
Thought he would be funny, a little joke?
It was. We both were laughing about it.
Okay.
And then I fell asleep.
Where did you fall asleep at?
Upstairs.
In your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Totally forgetting that he was in the suitcase still.
Okay. You came back downstairs?
This morning? Or this afternoon, yes, when I got up.
What time?
12:30ish. I was awake, but I totally forgot that he was in the suitcase. He can tell you there's a lot of things that we have been going through. Life, all that good stuff. So I just totally forgot.
So you began to do CPR on him?
Yes. Yes.
About what time this morning did you start doing that CPR?
No, it was the afternoon. It was afternoon because I was awake. But then I finally decided to come downstairs at like 12:30ish, whatever it is. And I was like, I forgot he was in the suitcase. And he wasn't moving. Nothing was happening. So I unzipped it, took him out and started doing CPR on him.
Boone repeated the hide-and-seek story. She was cooperative. She handed over her phone to forensic investigators without hesitation. And that, right there, was the moment the story began to fall apart. Investigators sitting with Sarah Boone's phone found 2 videos she had recorded the night before. Videos she claimed to have no memory of when detectives confronted her the following day. Both were on a phone only she had access to, and both captured exactly what was happening in that living room during the hours Sarah said she was upstairs, falling asleep. In the first video, the suitcase is lying on the living room floor, shaking from the inside. George's voice can be heard through the fabric.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
For everything you've done to me.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
You.
Sarah.
Stupid.
Sarah.
That's my name. Don't wear it up.
Sarah. I can't breathe, babe. Seriously.
Yeah, that's when you do when you choke me.
Sarah. Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
That's on you.
Sarah, I can't breathe.
It's on you.
Sarah.
Real or ransom. Might want to get video for it extra. Because I got this.
Sarah.
Regular ass.
Sarah, I can't breathe, babe.
Oh. That's what I feel like when you ching on me.
Sarah.
You.
Can't breathe, Sarah.
Yeah. You should probably shut the fuck up.
Sarah.
At one point in the recordings, George tells Sarah he loves her. Her response was, "Yes, that's what you do. You shake me." Remember that. The second video shows the suitcase has been moved. It is now flipped to a different position on the other side of the living room. George is still inside, still pleading for his life.
Sarah.
After recording those videos, Sarah went upstairs and went to sleep. By that point, investigators no longer believed this was just a drunken game of hide and seek that ended in tragedy. The evidence was beginning to point towards something intentional, something staged. But what made the case even more complicated was the history between Sarah Boone and Jorge Torres. Sarah was 42. George was also 42. By the time they found each other, both of them were already deep in a years-long struggle with alcohol. Their relationship revolved around codependency, explosive arguments that never truly ended, and breakups that never seemed to last. There had been multiple documented incidents of abuse throughout the relationship. Sarah had called police on George several times, leading to 4 separate arrests. Yet each time, she bailed him out of jail herself. Then, in 2018, the roles were reversed. Sarah Boone was arrested and charged with battery by strangulation. The charge was eventually dropped, but it remained part of the history between them. The relationship had clearly become toxic long before George died inside that suitcase. The real question investigators still needed to answer was whether Sarah Boone had acted in self-defense, but the videos on her phone made that argument much harder to believe. On the morning of February 25th, 2020, less than 24 hours after Jorge Torres Jr. took his final breath on the floor of their apartment, the autopsy came back with findings that were impossible to explain away as an accident from a drunken game. The medical examiner found contusions on his forehead, bruising on his shoulder, multiple scratches across his neck and back, injuries consistent with blunt force trauma. He also had a busted lip. None of those injuries matched the story of a man who willingly climbed into a suitcase and peacefully fell asleep inside it. Instead, the injuries suggested something far more violent. Investigators believed the suitcase had been struck, possibly with a bat, while George was still trapped inside. The medical examiner ruled the death a homicide by positional asphyxiation. Jorge Torres Jr. had suffocated. His body had been folded inside a closed space for hours. As that suitcase ran out of breathable air, George ran out of time. Sarah drove herself to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. She came voluntarily, unaware of what detectives had already found. Detective Scott Lowen and his partner brought her into an interview room and read her Miranda rights. Sarah waived them and agreed to speak. It would become the first of several decisions she made that day that she could never undo. Sarah, while being interrogated at the police station, maintained her innocence. She kept repeating the same story over and over again, describing everything as a drunken game that spiraled out of control. What she still did not realize was that the most damaging evidence against her had already been recovered from her own phone. Evidence that contradicted nearly everything she was saying.
Have you guys ever played you said you played hide and seek like probably 3 times in your relationship?
Mm-hmm.
When you have played, have you ever zipped him up in a suitcase prior?
No.
Okay. So it was just kind of like that prop was there, and it was there,
Yes.
and it was in play because...
Why do you say it like that, though?
I would never do that.
You would never zip them up in a suitcase?
I mean, we were playing.
No, I know,
that
but
time,
I'm saying, I'm talking about hide and seek, which is a game. Have you ever zipped him up in anything, jokingly or not? But obviously,
No.
I understand, you know, you're claiming that Sunday it was a joking matter. You were laughing, he was laughing. But what I'm just asking is in the past, like, is it something that you guys normally do?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
We were actually this last game running out of places to hide because we have a townhome where it's upstairs or downstairs.
The detectives could see Sarah was still clinging to the same story, that everything had been a joke gone too far. So they turned the conversation toward her phone.
Do you remember making any videos or maybe having any photos, videos that you remember doing on your phone on Sunday?
No.
No?
I think I took a picture of a dog.
Okay. But your phone is password protected, you have the password, he has the facial recognition, so it's not like someone else could be on your phone.
No, I have both. But
You have the face and the password?
Yes.
Yeah, but he only has the face, correct?
no.
To be able to get onto your phone, you told me that he looks at the phone.
Oh, I misunderstood. I thought you were asking if I did. Yes, it's me.
Okay. Does he have access to your phone? Because you said it's a
Yeah.
shared phone. Okay, how does he have access?
Sarah, can I borrow your phone? Yeah, it's right there on the kitchen counter.
Okay, but
Bring
how
it
does
to
he
me
get
and do
into it? Because it's password protected.
He'll come and get it to me, and I'll just do the face thing. Where sometimes, too, like, look, he'll joke with me and say, okay, I need to borrow your phone. And he'll hold it while I'm cooking or doing something, do the facial recognition.
Okay, so he doesn't know the password and he doesn't have the facial recognition.
No,
But he is the only other person that would use your phone, I'm
Yes.
assuming, other than...
well, Lucas.
Right. But Lucas wasn't there Sunday. Right. To your recollection, no videos on Sunday?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
I mean, I get my phone, I maybe took a picture of them, the two of Tess and
The dogs.
George and them dancing, but, I mean, it's just Tess.
Okay. So I have something that I want to show you that we found.
Sarah is about to come face to face with the evidence that would destroy her version of events. The hide-and-seek explanation she had been hiding behind was seconds away from falling apart, and the moment detectives showed her the videos, her story began to change.
Is it long? Because I don't know how much I can take.
Mm-mm.
Do I have to watch this? I continuously throw up. I don't sleep. I don't want to see it, if that's okay.
Well, it's on your phone. You can either explain it or we take it for what it is.
Yeah. We're just trying to give you the opportunity to tell us what's going on. That's it.
It's that long?
2 minutes.
No.
I don't want to watch it, please.
The table quickly turned, but Sarah persisted. It was not intentional.
I'm just telling you what we see and what we've heard from the other video.
I understand.
He's begging for you to let him out. You're laughing in the beginning, and then in the end it sounds kind of like a...
No, it's not malicious.
Well, saying "fuck you,"
It's not malicious.
then what is that?
What does you mean to you?
I get called everything but a white woman, so
Okay.
my intention was not to leave him in there. Please understand that. My intention was not to leave him in there.
But you went upstairs thinking that he could get himself
Yes.
out, but the video shows
That's what I
at no
told
point
you.
can I see his fingers. And
He'll
it
be up
looks
here any
like-
minute.
And then 30 minutes later, he didn't show.
And he's telling you
And I
he
didn't
can't
wake
breathe.
up.
Do you
He's
think
not
he's
able to get
joking?
out.
You told me he was laughing, and
We were
the
before.
video, there's no
When we
laughing.
first got in there, both of us were.
So how long was he in there for? Like, this video is at 11:12 when it starts, so was he in there for like a long time prior to you recording this?
No.
So it goes from funny to no longer funny,
But
and
I
you're
didn't,
the only one laughing.
But I didn't think that he was, like, panicky. Like,
So pushing up on a suitcase saying, Sarah, 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 I can't breathe.
George has done that in the past before, too, where it's just like he thinks that he's woe is me kind of thing, where it's like, I don't
Well, he's
think-
never been locked in a suitcase. That's
No.
where he couldn't get out. So
It's kind of, I thought it was
And
the
you know
boy
the oxygen
crawling
is
wolf,
coming.
crying wolf kind of thing.
okay.
And again, my
But
plan,
but nowhere in there is he laughing, is he joking. He is begging. And you're the only one laughing,
okay,
and you're the only one saying derogatory comments, like you're mad.
no. Please don't, I don't mean to sound negative, and I don't know if I can say this, but, like, it's like you guys are kind of trying to, like, feed me. Like,
No, I'm just trying to show you a video that you no longer want to watch because you probably don't want to know the outcome of how and what you said.
well, I know what,
You know what's on that video now?
No.
You remember making that video?
oh,
Why don't you remember making the video?
probably because we had been drinking.
But she cannot explain away what is right there on the recording. Her voice, her words, her ladder. While the man she says she loved was suffocating 12 inches from where she was standing. By the end of the interrogation, detectives had everything they needed. Sarah Boone was placed under arrest for second-degree murder. Bond was set at no bond, and she was booked into the Orange County Jail. Just hours earlier, she had walked into that same building believing she would walk back out. But Sarah Boone's journey from arrest to trial would become just as chaotic as the case itself. She was arrested on February 25, 2020, the day after calling 911, and remained held without bail. What followed was nearly 4 years of legal chaos that tested the patience of judges, attorneys, and the Florida court system itself. Over those 4 years, Sarah went through 13 attorneys in total. 9 during the trial phase, and 4 more during appeals. 7 of the original attorneys were court-appointed public defenders who eventually withdrew from the case. One lawyer stepped away after allegedly enduring repeated verbal abuse from Boone. Others cited impossible working conditions and a complete breakdown in communication. Eventually, Judge Michael Kranick ruled that Sarah Boone had forfeited her right to court-appointed counsel altogether. Now sitting in a jail cell without a lawyer, Boone did something that immediately grabbed national attention. She created a handwritten advertisement, almost like a wanted poster, searching for an attorney willing to take her case. And somehow, it worked. A 9th attorney, James Owens, saw the ad and agreed to represent her. But before the trial could even begin, prosecutors offered Boone a deal. 15 years in prison in exchange for pleading guilty to manslaughter. She turned it down. Boone believed the jury would believe her version of events. She believed the battered spouse defense would save her, and more than anything, she believed she was going home. What the defense failed to fully grasp was just how devastating those 2 videos would be once they were played inside a courtroom for 6 jurors who had never heard Jorge Torres' voice before. The trial began on October 14, 2024, in Orange County, Florida, with opening statements starting 4 days later on October 18th. Assistant State Attorney William J. stood before the jury and told them exactly what they were about to hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, what the evidence in this case is going to show you is that this defendant zipped Jorge Torres shut in a suitcase. She was able to do this because at the time of his death, he only weighed 103 pounds, and she did this with the malicious intent to punish him, and then she went up to sleep and left him to take his final breaths on this earth alone. How many breaths those were, we don't know. The evidence is going to show that it was at least for about 15 minutes, because there's going to be 2 videos that the defendant herself took of this event. The evidence is going to show Jorge Torres is dead because in this defendant's judgment, he deserved it. And out of a conscious disregard for whether he lived or died, you will see and hear these videos.
He told them what they would not hear during the 911 call. No tears, no sorrow. He also pointed to the fact that Sarah's first instinct was not to call 911, but to call her ex, Brian Boone. The prosecution argued this was evidence of premeditation. The defense opened differently. Attorney James Owens laid out the years of documented abuse. Owens told the jury that Sarah Boone was justified in what she did, that she was a woman pushed past her breaking point by years of violence, that locking Torres in the suitcase was, in her traumatized mind, the safest thing she could do that night.
Sarah Boone and Jorge Torres were down and out, as you can be. Their lives centered around alcohol. Both of them suffered from, used to be called alcoholism, now it's called alcohol abuse syndrome. And so day to day, they struggle with the use of alcohol. You can imagine that. It affected their jobs. It affected keeping employment. It affected even getting a job. As codependent as you can be towards each other. And you're going to learn with all that was domestic violence. And that Jorge Torres physically abused Sarah Boone. And she suffered from the effects, the psychological effects that one suffers from repeat violence from an intimate partner.
The defense called Dr. Julie Harper, a licensed psychologist of 22 years, who testified that Boone suffered from anxiety, PTSD, and battered spouse syndrome. Harper told the jury that someone suffering from battered spouse syndrome might react in ways that seem completely irrational to outsiders, including locking a person in a suitcase out of fear of what they might do when they got out. She did note during cross-examination that her evaluation found Boone had narcissistic personality traits, though she did not meet the full criteria for narcissistic personality disorder. The first major climax of the case was not the verdict. It was the moment jurors heard George's voice. Up to that point, George could have been an idea in that courtroom. The defense said she acted out of fear. The videos showed her laughing. The defense said she was too traumatized to think clearly. The prosecution pointed out she had been calm enough to record 2 separate videos, narrate her grievances clearly, flip the suitcase over, and then walk upstairs and sleep through the night. The defense said she was a victim. The prosecution said Jorge Torres was the one who suffocated. Remember those autopsy findings from earlier, the bruising on his forehead, the scratches on his back, the blunt force trauma. Here is what an expert witness for the prosecution had to say.
In regards to these blunt impact injuries, how is it that you come to the conclusion that these injuries were the result of blunt impacts?
So these are typical wounding patterns for blunt force trauma. And when I say blunt force trauma, that can mean something striking a part of the body, or on the other hand, it can be the body striking an object. And that causes injury to the skin, and to the soft tissue, and sometimes the deeper tissues, depending on how severe or how strong that blunt force trauma is.
Are these injuries consistent with a person being struck with a baseball bat?
They could be, yes.
Are they consistent with a person being pushed down a flight of stairs?
They could be, yes.
Can you say whether or not these injuries occurred while Jorge Torres was in the suitcase?
No.
Why is it that you cannot say that?
So all of these injuries seem to have occurred around the same time, meaning that they're relatively acute or new. They're not things that are healing or something that happened last week. So they all occurred around the same time. But you can't really look at a bruise or a contusion and say, oh, that happened 2 hours ago. There's not a good way to do that.
Are these injuries consistent with them occurring while he was inside the suitcase?
Yes, they could be.
The prosecution argued during trial that those injuries were consistent with Boone having struck the suitcase with a baseball bat while Torres was inside, a detail the defense never successfully addressed. Then Sarah Boone decided to take the stand in her own defense. When a defendant testifies, everything changes. The jury no longer hears only from lawyers and experts. They hear directly from the person accused. That can humanize a defendant. It can also expose every weakness. On the stand, she told the jury that Torres had climbed into the suitcase himself and was trying to lay flat so she couldn't find him.
I zipped him up. We thought it was funny, and we're joking about how he was, I guess, small enough to fit inside of the suitcase.
All right, so what happened then?
From there, it was just, we were laughing about it, and it was just strange that he was small enough to fit in there, and then I kind of moved it around a little bit with him in the suitcase still. It was still funny that he was still in the suitcase. Just, I think he and I were just kind of, couldn't believe that he could fit in the suitcase.
Did you eventually close the top?
Yes, the top was already closed. As he was settling himself in there, that's how I knew he was in there, was because the top was kind of flopping a little bit.
Okay. So he had got in there to hide, and he pulled the top.
Yes.
On top of it, but you could tell he was in there.
Yes.
You saw him right away.
Yes.
All right. So at some point, did you zip him up?
Yes.
Did you? And what was he saying or doing when you were zipping him up?
We just thought it was funny.
Were you both laughing?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so you zipped him up. Were y'all still laughing once you zipped him up?
Yes.
Okay. Tell the jury what happened then.
From there, I moved the suitcase around a couple of times, just kind of on the wheels, and moved it around. And at that point, it was funny. We were joking and laughing about it.
When pressed about the videos, the ones she had recorded, the ones capturing his voice begging her to let him out, she said she didn't remember recording them. She admitted they looked bad. She told the court she had lied to police initially because she was afraid of being arrested. That admission was a turning point. For 4 years, her story had been that this was an accident, a drunken game gone wrong. Now, on the stand in 2024, she added a new layer: self-defense. She claimed she feared what Torres would do when he got out of the suitcase, so she kept him in. And then, in the middle of her own testimony, Sarah said something no defense attorney could walk back. She admitted to striking the suitcase with a baseball bat. While George was still inside,
I knew the tone, and we ended up, I guess, arguing back and forth with one another, and the things that he was saying very much frightened me, and cursing at me and threatening me.
Did he want you to let him out of the suitcase?
I'm sure so.
Okay. Go ahead, tell me.
And it got very heated very quickly, and he continued to push on the suitcase. And my fear was that he was going to break out of the suitcase, knowing that it was a broken suitcase. His hand started to come through. His hand started to come through this way. And so I shook the suitcase, trying to get his hand to go back in, shaking it, and telling him that, please stop doing this, please stop doing this to me, please stop doing this to me.
And so what did you do?
For the split-second reaction that I had, I happened to see that, and I grabbed the baseball bat and was trying to poke his hand to go back in, to please don't break through, please. So I hit his hand.
Did you hit the outside part of his hand?
Yes.
We've seen the photographs of his left hand. Did you cause the bruising there?
I'm guessing yes.
Now, you've seen the bat. It's a youth bat?
Yes, I bought it for my son.
Is this the bat you used?
Yes.
You said you poked him with it?
Yes, I kind of pushed, like I held it with the skinny part here and then prodded at it, yes.
You grabbed it with both hands here.
Yes.
And then the barrel of the bat, the big part of the bat is here.
Correct.
And you thrusted it into the different areas of the suitcase?
I started with his hand, and his hand, he was still trying to get out. He was still trying to do that. So I started to push on the suitcase around it, hoping to have his hand retract and go back inside.
You made those injuries.
I did.
We've seen the photographs.
Yes.
We see the bruising. Is that from that bat?
Yes.
that admission changed everything. The jury had spent days weighing two versions of Sarah, the battered spouse or the battering one. Now they had a new question altogether. What else had she lied about? The prosecution's response during cross-examination was direct. If she genuinely feared for her safety, why did she go upstairs and sleep? If she truly believed Jorge Torres was capable of harming her, why did she leave him alive and contained and simply go to bed? But the jury was about to hear one more piece of evidence before closing arguments, and it sealed everything. Prosecutors presented text messages pulled from Boone's phone during the investigation. The messages painted a picture of a relationship defined by anger, jealousy, and resentment. They directly supported the prosecution's argument that locking Torres in the suitcase was not an act of self-defense. It was an act of punishment. Jurors also watched footage of Sarah berating George that same night, seeing with their own eyes the contempt she had for the man she claimed to fear.
I'm going to try and cancel plane tickets. No. Because I don't do special things for people like you that are doing this. Like, to me, after I asked you at 1:21 in the morning, I wanted to be asleep. I wanted to stay asleep, which is why I got into bed at 8:30. I told you not to step foot in the bedroom. So what do? Nonetheless, you're drunk. The amount of alcohol, I know how much was out. I know how much was there. That's why I could smell you in the bed before you actually got me up. You're despicable.
I'm not despicable. I'm not even doing anything.
Leave me alone.
Okay.
You're not going to remember shit. Okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, I'm not doing nothing right now.
Get away from me. Get away from me.
I'm not doing nothing to you.
You do everything to me all the time. All the time. Heartache and pain is what you cause me. Heartache and pain.
How is that?
Keep going. And I dare you. I dare you. I dare you. You get on your fucking little bike and go to fucking work tomorrow. Don't look at me. Don't come close to me. Don't touch me. Do you understand?
What do you mean?
As of this moment, and until I can get you out, get the fuck out of here. I dare you. Yep, look at it. Get away from me. Get away from me. Get away from me. I'm gonna scream bloody murder. I'm gonna scream bloody murder. I will scream bloody murder. Get away from me. I'm gonna hurt you.
The defense claimed fear. The texts and videos showed deliberate, conscious anger, the same grievances she narrated on video while he was suffocating inside the bag. And then came the closing arguments. Assistant State Attorney Dave Jr. walked into that courtroom and placed the blue suitcase directly in front of the jury. He reminded them of what they had heard on those videos. Torres saying he could not breathe. Boone laughing. Boone referencing cheating, being choked, and going to sleep while he was still alive inside the bag. Dave Jr. told the jury that this was not the behavior of a terrified woman acting in self-defense. This was a woman using a suitcase as a weapon. To punish a man for wrongs she believed he had committed against her. Defense attorney Owens made his final pitch. The relationship had been violent. Boone had suffered real harm at Torres' hands. Her actions came from a broken, fear-soaked mind. He asked the jury to see her as a victim who had finally snapped. The jury deliberated for just 1 hour. On October 25, 2024, the jury's verdict was read aloud in open court.
In Orange County, Florida, case number 2020 CF 2603, the state of Florida versus Sarah Boone. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of murder in the second degree as charged in the information. So say we all, dated at Orlando, Orange County, Florida, on this 25th day of October 2024, the form has been signed by the foreperson.
The defense filed a motion for a new trial in November 2024, arguing that prosecutorial misconduct had affected the outcome of the case. Judge Michael Kranick denied the motion. He found no basis for a new trial. On December 2, 2024, Judge Kranick sentenced Sarah Boone to life in the Florida Department of Corrections without the possibility of parole. After sentencing, Boone sent a heated letter to Judge Kranick criticizing the court, the attorneys, the jury, the media, Jorge Torres Jr., and his family, while continuing to maintain her innocence. Sarah Boone is currently serving her life sentence as the appeals process continues. But even as the legal battle continues, one thing still sits at the center of everything. No matter how many legal arguments are raised, the case keeps circling back to the recording Sarah Boone made herself and handed over to investigators the next morning. Those videos remain the most powerful and central evidence in her conviction,